This is my Dark Trooper Attack alternate build. Initially meant to be a microfighter hangar bay for the small microfighter Razor Crest that I've dubbed the Mini Crest. But enough about that. I've covered that once before, and if you'd like, you can check out that video linked down below. But for today's video, I'm going to turn this little alternate build into a miniature MOC idea that I've had for a while. A while back, I was fiddling with a whole bunch of extra pieces laying around on my desk, and I made quite a few custom blasters. And as well with my Dark Trooper Attack alternate build, I had a whole bunch of extra cargo and little empty pallets left over. So I figured I would use some of these minifigures that I had laying around on my desk and make a little bit of an arms deal MOC scene. So today, using all these extra builds and these iconic characters, we're going to create a small little shady arms deal scene with a little bit of story to go with it. In an old abandoned back room in a space station, you can see we have Han and Chewie set up with all their goods ready to meet with their client. Unbeknownst to the smugglers though, their client is actually Boba Fett. Since Han Solo isn't quite aware of Boba Fett's reappearance yet, Boba is going to use his good friend Mando and call in a favor and have him act as the front for the arms deal. And they're also going to bring along Fennec for some extra muscle and a satchel full of creds. While we wait for the clients to arrive, let's go ahead and go over the weapons that Han and Chewie brought. First up in the lineup, we have this heavy repeating laser cannon, which is meant to provide a lot of firepower for one single person. And in front of that pallet, we have two more blasters, one heavy scattergun, which isn't actually a blaster, so I shouldn't have called it that. It's one of the few projectile weapons in Star Wars. It's pretty much the equivalent of a shotgun. And then a custom shoulder-mounted repeating heavy blaster. Now I say this is custom, but I think we've actually seen something like this in Star Wars in the 2003 version of the Clone Wars. And then last up, we have an entire case of E-22 double-barreled blasters. A blaster that isn't too widely used in the universe because the Empire likes to reserve it for its higher-up forces like Dark Troopers. And now that we've finished up with the blasters, it seems like the clients have shown up, so let's take a look at this completed MOC. They send Mando in first because Boba Fett wants to make a big dramatic entrance, revealing himself to Solo. Next up, I'm sure after a little bit of talking, Han's gonna ask where the creds are, and that's when Fennec's gonna come in. A big satchel full of credits, and it looks like they're just about to seal the deal. But just before, the client reveals his extra muscle, Boba Fett. Han and Chewie are taken aback, but they need the creds, so they try real hard to not look surprised. However, as the meeting continues, Mando notices that Han isn't looking right at him, instead ever so slightly over his shoulder at his old adversary. And Han is keeping his hand on the trigger just in case Boba tries anything. And with that pretty much covers all the story that I've given to this little MOC I've made. Now let's take a look at the details. Over on the left side we have all the buyers with their blasters and the satchel full of creds. And over on the right side we have some fan favorite iconic smugglers with plenty of stolen goods. Of course the main cargo that we became familiar with earlier, all of the blasters. One heavy cannon in the back, and some lighter blasters up front. Over on Han and Chewie's side, we just have a bunch of leftover storage bins and containers that the space station left behind when they abandoned this room. With one more larger container on the client's side, as well as all the clients and the access elevator that they used to get here. Except for Boba Fett, of course, he had to make a dramatic entrance in the back there. And all the extra details and little bits that you see around the hangar bay are essentially the same from my alternate build video. On the right side of the elevator shaft, you can see we have a standard control panel for any human to use. But then on the left side there, I added something of a little R2 port so an R2 unit could open it up. And with that pretty much completes the MOC. It's a fun little build that I've actually had together for a while. This MOC has pretty much been assembled since I made my Dark Trooper Attack video, but I never really decided to do anything with it until now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and the little bit of story that went along with it. So if you guys would like me to include the story just a little bit in my normal alternate build or mod videos, that's certainly something I'd be interested in doing. But I want to know your guys' thoughts on this build and this video in the comments down below. And of course as well, if you have any suggestions for any future alternate builds or mods that you guys would like me to do, you can drop those down below as well. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace, fellas.